Excerpt from A Historical Account of the Collective Galactic Democracy and the Species Therein, a passage written as told by former representative of the seat of the Kint Empire. It had been only 5 years since the species known as humanity had been given a seat in the Collective Galactic Democracy as new citizens. Unlike other newly discovered Type 0 and 1 civilizations, humanity had gone through a slow and quiet process of uplift, with only small communities of scientists and engineers having any interaction with the fledgling species. So when they suddenly appeared on the galactic stage at large, almost entirely independent and already in the process of colonizing another star system, the reaction from the majority of the collective was a mixture of shock, suspicion, and a great deal of interest. Upon the day of humanity's official introduction to the Collective Galactic Democracy, the representative of the seat for the newly formed Terran Union was grilled extensively by other representatives, on topics ranging from the intentions of the Terran Union in regards to territorial and economic expansion, to their stance on closer diplomatic relations with the other individual seat holders, and even what the representative thought was humanity's greatest accomplishments. Humanity as a whole is a peace-loving species, the representative began. We are of many cultures, but all greatly value freedom and happiness. We are an intensely social species, and will more than likely seek out close relationships with the other species of the collective, both diplomatic and personal. We pride ourselves on our cultural diversity, our art and our music, and our scientific and mathematical institutions. We love dearly, and grieve deeper still. We thank the Collective Galactic Democracy for bringing us the stars, and ask only for room to grow into a worthy member of this great democracy. Almost immediately, humans began to migrate out into the galaxy for work, exploration, or almost any other reason. For nearly 3 years, anywhere that a human would settle, they would become the main object of interest for any population they had decided to mingle with. Almost always, the question would come up: how would you define humanity? The answers the various humans would give were all very similar. Some talked about their great cultural and architectural marvels. Others spoke of their mathematical and scientific pioneers, as the speed of their species' development in those areas was almost unheard of, even before their uplift. Sometimes those who had been brought up on Earth before migrating talked of the majesty and splendour of their homeworld. The general consensus from among the members of the collective was that humanity was almost completely harmless. Smaller than the galactic average in terms of size, every human was polite to a fault and almost too eager to assist and accommodate their neighbours. The Extortia, an ancient and militaristic species whose society was dependent on the near slave labour of its vassal states, saw this and believed humanity to be an easy mark to subjugate. They began to slowly lead the Terran Union into its trap, a tried and true method with millennia of success. Other members of the collective could see the signs or knew what was happening from experience, but archaic laws that the Extortia had put in place at the inception of the collective forbade them from interfering. Increased bureaucratic and diplomatic stress between the two member species, increases in trade tariffs, more restrictive border and migration policies from the Extortia, and an unending stream of complaints from Extortia citizens in Terran Union territory all set the stage for the final strokes in the Extortia's plan. On the day of the 5th anniversary of humanity's acceptance into the Collective Galactic Democracy, on a day when humanity and the rest of the galaxy should have been celebrating such a milestone, the representative of Extortia launched their final assault on humanity in front of the entirety of the collective's representatives. Exorbitant fines for minor or altogether made-up grievances, no travel zones, oppressive tariffs, a complete cease of trade, and the refusal to return humans trapped in Extortia territories were levied against the representatives of the Terran Union. Allies of the Extortia also imposed heavy restrictions on travel and trade, and the Extortia had managed to bully some smaller member species into doing the same. Humanity would be almost completely cut off from the rest of the galactic community, with few allies willing to step into the firing line with them. The representative of the Terran Union pled to the Extortia and to the collective itself to ease the impossible restrictions being placed upon humanity. No answer came. The collective, the Extortia, and humanity all knew there were only 2 options remaining. The Terran Union would become a vassal state of the Extortia, or they would declare war. The representative of the Terran Union stood in the centre of the collective representatives, looked directly at the representative of the Extortia, and stated calmly, "The Terran Union, member state of the Collective Galactic Democracy, hereby formally declares war on the member state of the Extortia." The war lasted a grand total of 3 hours. I was the representative of the Kint Empire at the time, and was in the grand chambers of the collective as the war began, so I was not able to view the battles as they happened. From what I had been told by survivors and first-hand witnesses, As soon as the representative of the Terran Union declared war, the main fleet of the Ashtortian Navy jumped directly into the solar system, which is home to Earth and birthplace of humanity. Immediately, the fleet was assaulted by all manner of weapon, nuclear warheads, large masses of metal accelerated to near relativistic speeds, even gas of plasma harvested from their own star and directed towards the enemies of humanity. Such was the ferocity of the assault that the main fleet of the Ashtortian Navy was forced to either retreat or risk certain destruction. Simultaneous to the defense of humanity's home system, an offensive was launched by the 4 colony systems of the Terran Union. Almost all of the Ashtortian's military worlds, mining operations, manufacturing yards, and communication relays were attacked in sync, not allowing the Ashtortian even a moment to regroup and assess their losses. Such was the scale of destruction that it was estimated that the Ashtortian military lost a full 70% of its might within the space of those 3 hours. I was still seated within the Grand Chambers as the news reached the collected representatives that the Ashtortian would surrender immediately and would lift all sanctions placed against humanity. The entire chambers were silent for a long time, trying to process the fact that the humanity we had thought was harmless had completely defeated such an ancient member species as the Ashtortian in just 3 hours. The very same race that would nearly sing the praises of its culture and peaceful projects whenever asked about its greatest feats. Much later, after all pressing matters had been attended to, and the representatives began to file out of the Grand Chambers, I approached the representative of the Terran Union. He stood to the side of the chambers with what I assumed to be a nonchalant look upon their face, as all the other representatives gave the human a wide berth. I could not reconcile in my mind how such a peace-loving species managed to defeat one of the largest military powers in the galaxy. I asked the representative how this could be. Why was technology to cause violence and destruction on a scale never before seen not considered one of humanity's greatest achievements? The human's answer shot me to my very core. It's not. We strive with all our might to bring more peace into this world, to preserve and honour our many cultures, to discover even more of the workings of the universe. This is why they are our greatest achievements. But to humanity, violence is as natural as breathing.